Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome to another card video. This week I did some paper piecing and Copic coloring. I'm starting out with a penny black stamp. It's actually my first penny black stamp and I think it's really cool. It's this fashionable girl and I'm using some tuxedo black ink by Memento. I'm going to stamp it twice because I'm going to cut out the pink paper. If you go to my blog, I have a photo of all the different Copic markers I use to color this girl in. So I'm just going to show you. I slowed it down a little bit. Here I'm starting with her coat, and I pretty much use the same technique every time. First I start with an all-over light color, and I'm using 3 shades of blue. Then I start with my darkest color, so I go straight to the darkest, and I put that in the shadow area. So in my stamp here, the light is coming from her back. And then I go in with this medium color blue. I just kind of blend it in tiny circles. And then I go back with the lightest color that I used to start with, and I blend it all together. But don't do too much blending because then it all sort of starts to look like one color. So that's kind of been my New Year's resolution, is I'm not going to color too much, because sometimes I go in there, I'm like, oh, a little lighter, a little darker, a little lighter, a little darker, and then before you know it, you have way too much ink on the paper. So I'm going to do each of these pieces the same exact way. I'm speeding this up while I finish up the coat. I'm going to do her arm. Again, you just have to keep in mind that the light is coming from the back, so you want to shadow all of the areas that are on the left-hand side. And then that back piece is going to be quite a bit darker because it's all in the shadow. I'm using a few different W markers, W1, W3, and W5 to create the fur shadow. Same exact technique, all over light color, then the darkest in the shadow area, then the medium, and then back to the light. And I do her hat blue, darkest, medium, and then light. Sorry, my thumb got in the way there. I'm just using 2 shades of pink. And same 2 shades for her face also, and 2 shades for the brown hair. Now her legs are pretty skinny, so it's kind of hard. You have to do it really light. It's kind of hard to get to stay in the lines there. Actually, thought I colored in a little too much on her legs, so right there, that's where I'm pulling out some color with my colorless blender. It's a 0 number. And then her shoes, and I actually went back and decided that her shoes were too dark and I didn't leave enough light. So when that happens, I just take my 0 right there and I just pull some color out. I'm using C1 to create a shadow, so it doesn't look like she's just sort of floating. Alright, so what I've done here is I've used 3 different shades of pink to just create shadow on these presents. So I don't want to color it in too much because I do want to have some of the white from the pattern. So I'm just going into the shadow areas and coloring those in. That way they still look like they're wrapped and not solid pink color. And I was surprised that the markers blended so well on this paper, but I think it blended pretty well. Alright, now I'm going to cut just the presents out. And I'm going to use a 2A glue pen, which is a fantastic glue pen. I love it. It works especially well with tiny pieces that, or letters that you've cut out of your Cricut. This is great. So I use that to adhere that to the paper. And I know I usually freehand these lines, but because it's such a clean card, I decided to use a ruler. This set is called Fabulous Phrases. It's made by Stampin' Up! And it's just got a bunch of different words, and you can use them in any combination. So I picked the Forever Fabulous. I thought it went really well with that girl. She's kind of a city girl. And I'm using my Stamp-A-Majig just to make sure, even though it's a clear mount stamp, sometimes I still use my Stamp-A-Majig on those, just because you never know, it may not be totally exact. Alright, so now I'm going to take some Neenah Solar White cardstock, and I'm going to use black soot. And the reason I'm doing this is because I need a white core on my paper. And if I use just black cardstock, all my black cardstock has a black core. And when I poke the holes from the back and then sand it on the front, the holes become white because it's got that white core. I've seen Jill Foster use that technique quite a bit. And here I am folding my cardstock, which I never show. I usually edit that out, but I use a bone folder, which makes a nice, crisp, clean fold in your cards. And now I've got some stickles, and I'm just going to go over the ribbon with some green stickles. And that's it. It's pretty simple. Kind of a fun card for your girlfriend for her birthday. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.